Hullet, or the Hole, as it's called in English, is about a young man called Elias, who lives with his father in this house out in the middle of nowhere. And there they sort of spend their life filling this hole, this mysterious hole in the floor of their living room. And no matter how many times they fill it, it reappears. So this is sort of the whole meaning of their life is about filling this hole, until one day Elias sort of starts questioning perhaps there's something more to life than just filling a hole in the living room. And how the idea came about is it's sort of a twisted journey in a way, because we started with this. It's my graduation film from the National Film School of Denmark. So we, as a team, sort of discussed, I had some ideas and we started discussing what we wanted to do. And we had this idea that was way too ambitious for 30 minutes. But we started talking about dividing that film into chapters that had nothing to do with each other, except for they took place in the same place with the same characters. And one of the ideas was that a hole was started appearing, and they filled it up and it came back. And I liked that idea visually. So I thought maybe we should just take that idea out and make a whole film about that. And then I started changing it around, because I'd had this idea of a father-son relationship that I wanted to explore for a while, and decided to make it about that in a way. So it didn't start with any deep message. That sort of came later, I guess. It feels strange to talk about deep messages, I think, but the meaning of the story came later to me. It started with this interest in this strange hole and me wanting to explore father and son. It's still sort of a mystery to me, but I think that's what makes it interesting, why I find the father-son thing fascinating. It might be something about masculinity and what we pass on to our children. And our parents do the best they can. And some can do more than others, but they do the best they can. And I just found it interesting, this character, this father who thinks he is helping his son. And the son feels he's being, imprisoned in a way, but the father thinks, I'm helping you. I have the answer to everything. This is the real answer to life. So it's about fear in a way, fear of the unknown. And I sort of deviated off the path there in my answer, I think. But yeah, I can't really tell you why it's something I've thought of exploring. It's just sort of been in the back of my head and nagging at me. It was a very important part of the film to make it feel monotonous and repetitious, and almost make the audience sick of it. So they wanted Elias to break out of there, because, enough with the birds already, and enough with the same dinner all the time. But in a way, we wanted we wanted the two worlds of the film to be contrast, sort of, the work where everything is very brown or gray or, drab in a way. And then inside, they have this illusion of having a good time. So they dress in colorful clothes, and they have their wallpaper of this beautiful scenery, so that they, just for a few moments, can imagine that they're somewhere else, even if that's not, the father would never say out loud that that's what he wanted, but for a second they could sit there and they could have a fantastic time in his mind. So it was very important for us to really create the contrast in the two worlds, but at the same time sort of show that the illusion of, what do you call it, we have a Danish word for it that it doesn't really work in English, but happiness is just an illusion. Yeah, as well as the contrast in just colors and look of it all. We also sort of set up the fact that the camera had to always be moving outside, to sort of create this feeling of things going forward and things moving. But when we got inside, the camera just had to stand still and just observe the awkwardness of these two people who don't really have much to say to each other, but live in this put up universe that the father has set up for them to live in. Well, that was work with our production designer and the photographer of the film and me. And we decided that we wanted the house to be very, very minimalist and very sparse, so that the few things in there meant something in one way or another. And yeah, I think we liked the idea of the tape recorder, record player, as this idea of, if you actually notice it, there are no birds in the film except for on the tape. And we like the idea that, the father sort of put it on there as something that used to be there, but it's all nature is dead now in a way. So they just cling on to the past of when things used to be good, things used to be happy somewhere in the past that we don't know about, but he does, and that's what he clings to. And I think, there are a few images of birds hanging around. I don't really know what it is about birds, but he loves it. And yeah, but other than that, we just wanted to keep it very, very sparse. We saw them as people who they're very useful people. They're very pragmatic people. So there's nothing in the house that they don't use. So there's a table and some chairs, and there's the player, and then, that's it. Because the more there is, the more they have to move around for when the whole returns. So yeah, the music was made by my film's sound designer. We decided early on that we wanted to try and make the music ourselves in a way, because we worked together before and we sort of knew what we liked, and we just decided that it needed to be sort of, acoustic and earthy, if that's a word. It needed to come from the earth in a way. And pretty late on, we sort of discovered the harmonica as an instrument, because we'd worked primarily with strings, the cello and percussion and stuff like that. And then we sort of decided that, okay, we need something else. It can't be that throughout the whole film. And I told him to just pick 5 random instruments and start experimenting with those. And he sent me the 5-minute audio file of him just playing with a harmonica. And we actually me and the editor grabbed stuff right out of those 5 minutes and used in the film. And I think they're still in there. So that just really, there's something about the harmonica that's quite haunting. I think it's sort of got this ghostly feel, and we use it primarily with the harmonica, and when we're outside, we primarily use strings and percussion, and I didn't do anything. My sound designer Peter started banging on wheelbarrows and stuff like that to sort of get that percussion feel to create momentum, I think. Yeah, so that was it was very interesting. It was very stressful as well to to sort of work with that. I'm used to working with a composer and on a separate composer, not the sound designer. So, but we wanted it to feel sort of even more part of the film than normal, so like it sprung out of the audio, what do you call it, the sound universe or whatever you want to call it of the film. We wanted the music to sort of be very related to that. I can tell you about the original ending if you want to hear it. It's the original ending was, after the fight, he went up and Elias went out and he started filling the wheelbarrow, and he came home again and saw his father alive in the hole. And there was this moment between them where you were wondering what he was thinking. And he got the ladder and helped him up, and they stood there in silence. And then they just continued working. So it was sort of in a way, even more bittersweet ending, I think, than what is in the film. And the pheasant, the shot of the actual bird in the film, was complete accident. It was there on location that day, and my photographer was very quick to sort of whip the camera around and get a shot of it. So the ending now is a sort of a mix of accident or happy accident. And in the back of my head, I think I always sort of thought we could just end the movie here, and it might work to do that. But yeah, the ending was different. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to get your work shown at as big a festival as San Sebastian, for example, or a lot of other festivals. But for these new voices who could be trying very, very radical or different things, some of them, and some are making more conventional films. But either way, just to have these new voices, give them a platform. I don't know. I think it's I'm very excited about it. I feel very accommodated and very welcome there. That's very nice. I'm looking forward to coming down to Spain. I think what film school gave me was the room to make mistakes and to explore. The Danish film school works in the way that our graduation film is actually the only film that is seen by the public. So everything else is purely for us. And it really gives us room to experiment and crash and burn, if that's what it takes, but really to throw ourselves out into doing something different. And I think that really gives you room to explore what you have to say and how you want to say it. And I hope that journey is not over yet. I hope, of course, that I keep developing that. But it's those 4 years really gave me room to ask myself that question and to explore it. And I'm very, very happy with that. And then, of course, you learn a lot of stuff about the craft of making films. But I actually appreciate the other part more than that.